This week's Torah is Nishas Mנחem ben Yehושע, הכהן. This week's Parshas is Parshas Tazriah-Metzorah. Our avodah and the way our life works and the way a human works is usually always brought back to how the way someone talks and someone's speech. For example, if let's say you're going through a hard time, you have to make Kabbalah, you want to grow, you're struggling, let's say you want to, whatever you want to do, it's always brought back to the koach hadibur, which means the power of speech. It says in the pasuk that someone who watches his mouth is someone who desires life. And perhaps maybe you could say this is not only someone who watches his mouth, but this is also someone who doesn't hold himself back from saying something nice to someone. Because the koach hadibur, the way someone speaks, isn't just about what you say. It isn't just about what you say to a person, it's what you don't say. That's where you're also held accountable for. In this week's parsha, the parsha talks about tzara. Someone who speaks lashon hara is someone who gets tzaras. That's what happens. And there's an extremely fascinating zayar that says very interestingly that this isn't talking about when you go, I'm saying it is talking about it, of course, when you go and say lashon hara about someone. Of course it's talking about that. But maybe you could say that it's also talking about someone who goes and brings himself to go say a compliment to someone who you're supposed to say something to and you just don't say it. Something good, obviously. Because this is not just something that could just make someone's day or whatever. This could change someone's life. It could change someone's destiny. Like someone could be going through a hard day and you go over to them and say, by the way, I think you're a great kid. I think you're a great guy. I'm saying it's very cringy, I'll be honest. But whatever, you could say, give someone a compliment, whatever it is. He's learning, wow, I really want to, you're my role model. Whatever you could say, that could change someone. Because someone could be going through something. There's people out there that aren't confident people at all. And you go and tell him something, you could change his life just like that. There's a great story I heard. There was this person, Chaim, he was going, and he decided he's very hungry, right? He wants to go eat falafel. He's in Eretz Yisrael. He goes to the store and he decides he's going to go eat falafel. He's buying falafel and he realizes something's off. He recognizes the person behind the counter. All of a sudden, the person behind the counter picks up his head and all of a sudden, Chaim goes and screams, "Beryl, is that you?" And he goes, "Yeah, of course it's me." And they start talking about, because years pass and they haven't spoken, so they start talking. And all of a sudden, Chaim says to Beryl, "What are you doing here? You used to be the guy in yeshiva. You still learn all day. You used to be the guy. You know the guy in your yeshiva, whatever yeshiva you're in Dark, this yeshiva, whatever it is. There's the guy who's stark, whatever. Obviously, there's the yeshivish guys that are just stark that no one talks to, or whatever. Everyone gets upset. You know the type. Or there's the person that doesn't learn at all. But there's those guys that everyone knows is they're a real person. They learn, whatever it is." So he said to him, "Weren't you this person? What happened to you? Why are you working behind the counter in the falafel store?" He says, "You know, Chaim, you're the first person that ever told me that. Throughout my life, I thought I was a no one. I didn't know who I was. I thought I was some random person that just happened to learn another." Give him a compliment. I'm saying it doesn't have to be cringy or whatever it is. I know it sounds cringy, but you're held accountable. It says this in the Zohar saying this. You're held accountable for something that you could have said nice, but you held yourself back from saying it. That's what you're held accountable for. So that's what you can learn from this week's parsha. That tzaras is not only when you don't say lashon hara, it's when you hold yourself back. Of course, I know I'm gonna say it again. It's cringy because today's day and age, this generation, everything is cringy, right? You could go and tell someone, could you drive me to the pizza store? And they'd be like, whoa, you asked it in such a cringy way. I don't know how, but that's just the way the world works. So instead of you saying everything is cringy, of course, don't go over to every person and say, wow, fresh this. You could say to someone who gets a haircut, wow, nice haircut, or whatever it is, a guy's learning. Because you see from this story, this doesn't just change people for that second, or it puts people in good moods like that. Not only that, it changes people's life and people's destiny. Like you see in this story right here. This is one just story, and I'm sure there's many others. So with that, I'm not going to say to go and I'm not going to say you're going to go up to someone and change his destiny. I'm just saying you're held accountable for these things, and you learn that from this week's parsha. Have an amazing Shabbos.